Hi folks, it's Mike Murphy. Today we're going to crumble some paper, scan them into the computer, then I'll show you how to create a crumbled paper texture animation in Adobe After Effects CC 2025. You can use any type of paper you want. I would recommend using at least 3 sheets of paper. The more paper you use, the more variety you're going to get in your animation. I am using 6, but I would say between 3 and 10 is plenty. Then you just simply crumble the paper. Now I'm just going to scan all 6 paper textures into my computer. The scanner settings that I am using, I'm setting the kind to black and white. The resolution, I'm just setting it to 300 dpi. Just choose the folder on my hard drive to where I want to scan them to, then just click the scan button and repeat this until I scan all 6 textures. So now on my desktop, I have a folder with all 6 of the scanned crumbled paper textures. Now I'm going to import the folder of textures. So I'll go to the project panel. I'm just going to double click in an empty space. That's going to open up the import dialog box. I'll go to my desktop and choose the folder with the textures, click open. Now I'm going to create a new composition by clicking on the new composition button. I'll give it a name, crumpled papers. I'm just going to choose this first preset, 1920 by 1080 pixels, 24 frames per second. For the duration, I'm just going to make it 5 seconds. So I'll type 5, background color does not matter, click OK to create the composition. I'll select all 6 of the textures. Now I can just drag them on the comp window, or a great little shortcut to quickly add footage from the project panel. Press the Command or Control key and tap on the /. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to rotate the textures and just scale them down a little bit. So with all the texture layers selected, I'll tap R to bring up rotation, then I'll hold the Shift key and tap on the letter S to also bring up scale. For rotation, I'm just going to enter a value of 90. Since they were all selected, all of the layers updated to 90. And for the scale, I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. If I tap the spacebar, we don't have any animation yet, as these textures are just still images and they're all stacked on top of each other. So what we need to do is trim the layers and then offset them on the timeline. I am going to trim or cut the layers so they're 4 frames each. So I'll drag the CTI to the beginning of the timeline. I'm going to press and hold the Command key on a Mac, Control if you're on Windows, and I'll tap the right arrow key 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to trim all the layers to where the CTI is. So I'll make sure all the layers are selected. I'm going to press and hold the Option key on a Mac, Alt if you're on Windows. Then I'll tap on the right open square bracket. So Option, open right bracket. And to offset or to sequence the layers, you don't have to manually drag them out like this. There's an easy way to do so. Select them in the order that you want them to sequence. So I'll select the bottom layer first, hold the Shift key and select the top layer. Now I'm just going to right click, I'll go to Keyframe Assistant and choose Sequence Layers. Leave Overlap unchecked and click OK. If I tap the spacebar, now we've got an animation and it ends at this last one here. So if I just drag in one, tap N to set the end of the work area, tap the spacebar, now we can preview our animation, and that looks good to me. So currently, our animation is only 1 second long. To make it so we can loop it for as long as we want, I'm going to pre-compose the layers, or nest all these layers into their own composition by selecting all the layers, right-clicking, choose Pre-Compose. Give your pre-comp a name, let's call it Textures, check Move All Attributes, and then check the box to adjust the composition duration and click OK. Our animation is still only 1 second long, so to fix that, I'm going to right-click on the pre-comp, I'll go to Time and choose Enable Time Remapping. That's going to create 2 keyframes at the beginning and the end of our animation. Now if I get to the last keyframe, you're going to see we get this blank spot. So to fix that, just go back 1 frame, so press Command or Control and the left arrow so you can see the texture. Now you're going to click this little diamond to add a keyframe. Go back to that last keyframe, select it, and just delete it. And to loop it endlessly, press Option or Alt and click on the stopwatch next to Time Remap and just type out the loop out expression lowercase l, OOP, capital O, UT, open and close parentheses. You don't have to put anything inside. To reset the work area, I'll double click on it, tap the spacebar, and now we have a texture animation that will loop for as long as we want. You can use the 2 keyframes created from Time Remap to control the speed of the animation. So move the keyframes closer together to speed up the animation, move them further apart to slow it down. So now maybe you want to export or render this as a video file that you can use in other projects. First thing I'll do is just increase the duration of this composition to make it as long as I want. So I'll press Command or Control K to bring up composition settings. It's currently at 5 seconds long. Let's make it a minute. So I'll go in the duration, I'll type 60, that's going to give me a minute. I'll click OK. I'm just going to zoom out of the timeline. Because we have the time remap in the loop, I can just extend this pre-comp for the full minute. It's going to be animating the same thing. So if I go to the end, you see it's still animating, and I can just render it out by going to the composition menu and choose Add to Render Queue. I'll go down here to Output Module, click this little quick menu here and choose the H.264, 40 megabits per second, go to Output 2. I'll just save it to my desktop. I'll click on Render, I'll go to my desktop, and just like that, we have our own handmade crumpled paper texture animation created in Adobe Photoshop CC 2025. My name is Mike Murphy. Cheers.